FIFA have released their updated rankings for the women's national teams all across the board, and there's been some interesting shakeup, especially in the top 10. But we felt it was time to give our own rankings for who we feel are the top 10 teams currently in the women's international game. Guys, Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and let's see who we've got as the top 10 across the globe. Well, as you can see here, guys, a side-by-side of the rankings that we had before the World Cup started back in June. And then here on the right side, the updated version of these rankings post-World Cup. Now, again, there's a lot that FIFA take into consideration for the criteria for the world rankings. And I know there's some people that like the way the ranking system works, and I know others that, dislike it and don't really appreciate it whatsoever. But some of the things that FIFA like to consider when going through this process are the result of matches, home, away versus neutral sites, where these games are being taken place at, the importance, the magnitude of each game that's being played, as well as the difference in rankings between teams once they face off against one another. Now, one thing that stood out for me when reading over the criteria was the importance of a match. And for FIFA, they consider a World Cup final match 4 times more important than, say, a friendly, whereas like a qualifying match for a World Cup is 3 times more significant than a friendly match. And again, there's a lot more that we could go over in detail, but that was definitely something that stood out to me and something that I took into consideration a lot for making this top 10, because at the end of the day, for me, World Cup games mattered more than anything else. And again, I think played a big role in terms of how we created this top 10. So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into this video. At number 10, and maybe the most difficult decision in this entire list, we've got Brazil. Guys, I'll be honest, I feel like there was a number of different teams we could have put in this position, but wound up with Brazil. Again, they had a disappointing run, losing to France in their second game during the group stage and forcing them to get a result out of the Jamaica game, and they were unable to do so, sending them home early. But I do feel like that this team still has a lot of talent. I think they're set up for the future pretty well. We saw them play a really solid final against England last year. And again, I just think they've been a good standard in terms of women's football as well, especially for the South American region. So again, while it was a tough decision, we did wind up going with Brazil at number 10. And as you can see, they're currently ranked 9th in FIFA's rankings, but we've got them down just one more notch. At number 9, and maybe a bit farther down this list than people were expecting, we've got Germany. Again, a very disappointing run to get knocked out in the group stage for the first time ever. They had never failed to finish any lower than a quarterfinal run before this time round, and they went into this tournament being ranked number 2 in the world. And while, again, this team is still very, very talented, we saw them have a great run in the Euros last summer before getting bumped out by England in the final. It just didn't feel like Alexandra Popp had anybody else to lean on. She had 4 goals in this tournament. No one else had any more than just 1 on this side, and it felt like if she wasn't able to get it done, nobody else was on this team. And especially considering the group that they had, many felt like that they should just breeze through, collect 9 points, and be on their way, and they weren't able to do so, not even get a top 2 spot. It's just incredibly disappointing for Germany, and something that they're really going to have to look back on and see how they can fix things moving forward. At number 8, we've got the Netherlands, who, again, had a really solid run, but to get bumped out in the quarterfinal, not what they were expecting after that great run they had in 2019, and even a tough loss in the quarterfinals of the Euros last summer as well. But Jill Ward had a fantastic tournament. Lika Martens had a pretty solid run herself, and then Daphne van Domselaar, their goalkeeper, to come in and perform the way she did. She was phenomenal in this tournament as well. I definitely feel like this team still has a lot of upside and a bright future. But again, having to come across who are now our defending champions, Spain, in the quarterfinals, unfortunately ended their run early. But that's why we've got them currently sitting at number 8 in our rankings. At number 7, sitting with the Matildas in Australia, an unbelievable run they had to the first ever semifinal. Yes, they were the hosts and they had the crowds behind them the entire way. But take nothing away from these ladies, especially being without their captain and one of their biggest leaders, Sam Kerr, for most of the tournament. We saw Ford, Mary Fowler, Catley, Rasso, others getting the job done. Mackenzie Arnold being stout in the back as well. It would have been great to see Sam at least be able to play longer in this competition, but unfortunately she wasn't able to do so, but still put on a great performance when she was involved in those games. And the thing that really just kind of bugs me almost is the fact that this team was ranked 10th in the world before the World Cup started, had this phenomenal run, and they get bumped down to 11th. If you don't remember, they weren't even in the top 10 for this most updated list in August. But in our list, we've got them at number 7 after a fantastic run to the semifinals of the World Cup. Down to number 6, we've got Japan, who currently sit in FIFA's rankings at number 8. But I'll be totally honest, guys, again, considering the significance and how important these games are compared to many others that they play throughout a calendar year, I had to put Japan a bit higher. This team is just so technical. They're so clinical as well. We saw them put up a ton of great goals. They had the Golden Boot winner in this competition as well. And I just don't think that they ever really get enough credit. Yes, they are our 2011 champions, one of now only 5 teams who have ever won a World Cup title. But don't forget that this team beat Spain in the group stage 4-0. Really, their only blemish that Spain had the entire competition. And while again, Spain had a good portion of possession in that game, they still got thrashed on the score line. So again, give a lot of credit to Japan. I think this team's going to be back hungry and very strong for years to come. So keep an eye out for them. But that's why we've got them at number 6. At number 5, sitting steady with their current FIFA ranking, is France. And again, I feel like this team maybe could have even gone a bit farther down in this list, but I still have them at number 5, just considering the talent that they have. Again, they lost to Australia in that quarterfinal in an unbelievably dramatic penalty shootout. But for me, I feel like that shootout could have gone either way. France had a couple of different chances to possibly end that run, and they weren't able to do so. Again, it's a very significant fixture, of course, but I think with a new manager in charge, this team blossomed at certain times. Yeah, they struggled a little bit early on, but I would have liked to have seen what this team could have done against England in the semifinal had they gotten there. We'll see what happens with it. Wendy Renard and Les Sommer and some others going forward. I still feel like this team's in a good spot talent-wise. So it was really hard to move them any farther down the list, just considering what they could have done maybe if they had gotten by Australia. So that's why we still have them at number 5. Still a very, very good team looking for their first ever major title. At number 4, and while it pains me to do it, I feel like it's an appropriate spot to be in right now, the United States, who get bumped out in the round of 16, their lowest ever finish. The 4-time champions have never faced a result any worse than 3rd place up until this 2023 edition. And again, while I don't think it's entirely on the women, I certainly think Vlatko had a lot to do with it as well, with either his preparation or inability to adjust certain situations within games. They came out fast against Netherlands in the second half and responded a lot better. But considering this team wasn't able to put Portugal away in their final group stage game, and the fact that Portugal had a chance, having one hit off the post there late in that game, as well as opportunities that they were fortunate enough to receive against Sweden and unable to get the job done, whether that was through normal time, extra time, and then having a couple chances in that penalty shootout to put the game away. It's just very, very disappointing for this side, and that's why I've got them all the way down now at number 4. The number 3 seems appropriate for Sweden. That's where they finish in this 2023 edition. That's the 4th time that they finished 3rd in a FIFA Women's World Cup. And while it's certainly not the game that they wanted to be in, they played phenomenal, I thought, against Australia in that 3rd place match and really put on some great performances during this competition. They got through the group stage with relative ease, but the fact that they had to go through the United States and Japan, in my opinion, of course, the United States a huge favorite, but the way Japan were playing through the group stage felt like that they were a heavy favorite as well going into these knockout rounds. The fact that they were able to get over both of them is phenomenal. And then to come back against Spain as well, to tie that game up before ultimately losing it there right before the end of normal time. Gut-wrenching loss, and that's why we've got them at number 3, but still a really solid run for this team, who again, I think, are right there, so close to possibly winning their first ever Women's World Cup, hopefully down the road at some point. But again, I think a comfortable number 3 spot to place them in. And at number 1, your defending World Cup champions, Spain, who I certainly believe should be in this position. I know Sweden hold that spot at the moment right now, and Spain are currently 4th in FIFA's world rankings. But while they had that hiccup against Japan in the group stage, I thought the way this team put on some performances in the knockout stages shows that I think Spain is the future for women's football right now, or at least setting the standard. This team just has an unbelievable way of how they play between their possession, the way they can break down a press. The different ways they can score goals as well, the fluidity that they possess when they're playing with one another, and the fact that this team was missing 12 individuals that could have easily been on this roster as well, and they still got the job done. I mean, you've seen the record-breaking crowds that Spanish football has had for at the club level. Again, I think this country's really investing in it, and it's certainly showing, obviously, with this result to win their first ever World Cup and just their third ever appearance. It's just phenomenal what they've been able to accomplish up to this point. These ladies have just done so much incredible work and certainly deserve to be praised for it, and that's why I've got them at number one right now. I think this team's going to be a huge force to be reckoned with down the road and a lot of different tournaments coming up, and definitely a team that I think everyone else currently at the moment in the world of women's football needs to chase after. Not necessarily to be totally like, but certainly can take pieces of how they have done what they've done to get to this point and add it to their own programs to help them be more successful. Well, that'll wrap it up for this edition, guys. But thanks again so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And please let us know down in the comments as well your own top 10 for the women's game currently right now, or any other opinions you'd like to share or videos you'd like to see in the future also. We definitely love doing prediction videos and ranking videos and stuff like that as well. So going to keep that coming your way in the future. But looking forward to chatting with all of you soon. So have a blessed day. We'll see you soon.